What's up, Internet? Konami announces two new collector's editions up for pre-order right now. Is it worth our hard-earned money? We'll see when we break them down on this episode on Broheim Unboxed. What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Broheim Unboxed, where we talk about collectibles within the gaming and toy community. I'm the Retro King Gweilo, and on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down Konami's recent collector's announcement for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection and Contra's anniversary collection. But before we get started, you can help us out by number one, hitting that subscribe button, number two, hitting that like button, and number three, hitting that bell in the top right corner, and that'll help us out a lot. And guess what? It's free! With the announcement of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, looks like Konami wants to add to the proverbial pie with the announcement of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Cowabunga Collection, a 13-game collection celebrating 33 years of shell-kicking action, with the arcade ports to TNMT and Turtles in Time, the Nintendo games TNMT 1, 2, and 3, and Tournament Fighters, the Sega Genesis games Hyperstone Heist and Tournament Fighters, the Super Nintendo ports of Turtles in Time and Tournament Fighters, and finally the Game Boy games Fall of the Foot Clan, Back from the Sewers, and Radical Rescue. Along with that comes the much hyped collector's edition, which we were definitely looking out for. But upon seeing the pictures, I wasn't as impressed as I should have been. And here's why. You have the physical copy of the game with box art by creator Kevin Eastman, a cloth poster with Eastman's rendition of the Turtles in Time box art, a diorama of the four turtles on the rooftop, 12 trading cards of each character from the TNMT Tournament Fighters, an enamel pen set of 5 classic designs like Technodrome, Turtle Blimp, Party Wagon, Shredder, and Krang. And also a full-color art book detailing all 13 games in the compilation, one chapter for each game, all for a whopping $149.99. Looking at this collector's edition from a whole, only a couple of items to me really stand out. Like, for example, the cloth poster of Kevin Eastman's exclusive cover art. I think that's definitely a nice draw to me because, for example, you don't really see that a lot in these collector's editions, and especially if you see Eastman actually making this cover for it. I mean, it really stands out for me. Or if you're into art, this is a definitely eye catcher. And another thing, me personally as a collector, I definitely like that little diorama figurine. That's a perfect centerpiece to put up in the shelf. I mean, if somebody comes in the room and they see four turtles displayed in their iconic pose, that's really a nice piece to it, just to add to the collection, put it on top of the shelf. And the pen, I kind of like the pens because you could wear it whenever you want. You know, you show everybody that you have that collection, and it's a nice little callback. They're like, oh, that's a nice little pin. I kind of like that. Be like, oh, me too. It's a nice little thing that you can show off to your friends or family. But to me, is that enough to actually fork over $149.99 for this collector's edition? I mean, I'm kind of drawn 50-50 on it. So, I mean, we'll see at the end of the video once I give it the Gweilo test, see if that'll help me make up my mind whether I want to purchase this item or not. Up next, let's take a look at this upcoming collector's edition brought to us by a limited run. These guys have been known to produce killer collector's editions like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Streets of Rage 4, and Blasphemous, just to name a few. This is Contra, the Anniversary Collection, a collection of 10 games celebrating 36 years of one of the greatest co-op shooter franchises in gaming history. This collection comes with the arcade and Nintendo versions of Contra, Super Contra for the Nintendo, Contra 3 for Super Nintendo, Operation C for Game Boy, Contra Hard Corps for the Genesis, Pro Protector for the NES PAL region, and Super Pro Protector Alien Rebels for the Super Nintendo PAL region. And for its collector's edition, we're getting a physical copy for the Nintendo Switch or PlayStation 4, a classic silver box and deluxe clamshell case with art by artist Tom Dubois, steelbook case, Contra Anniversary soundtrack CD, a reversible poster, double-sided game cover, retro-style dust sleeve, acrylic standees, enamel pins, framed art print, mini replicas of the flying capsules, Bill and Lance keychains, and the History of Contra hardcover book. So there's a few things I like about this collector's edition. One thing for sure is the steelbook case. I like the fact that this collector's edition actually comes with a physical game instead of a digital download. And I'm talking to you, BioWare and Gorilla. And also, another thing that really catches my eye is the keychains. That's a nice little touch, pay homage to one of the best shooter games in franchise gaming history. I love that. I also like the capsule. That's a nice little touch as well. I also like the soundtrack. As a collector, that's a big bonus for me because I like a physical soundtrack. I'm old school like that, so a CD for me is a magnet for me to actually getting this collector's edition. And I'm liking the retro style dust cover sleeve. But that brings me back to when I have the original NES versions to these games. Like I said, this whole thing brings a lot of nostalgia value, and this collector's edition definitely delivers when it comes to nostalgia. After saying all that, the main question is, am I going to pick it up? To answer that, we go to the method I use before purchasing any figure or collector's edition, and that is the Gweilo test. 5 questions that'll help me make the right purchase. After that, we'll rate these guys. The first question, how's the packaging? You know, the nice box that it comes to before you open it up. Does it look good? Or does it grab your attention? You're taking a look at the Cowabunga collection. I'm pretty much looking at the box art right now, and the box art is pretty good. I like the turtles on the cover. I like the Technodrome, especially the Foot Clan, really nice. But something about the size of the box doesn't really appeal to me. It doesn't seem like it's gonna come on and grab you. You know, it's pretty much, to me, it's ordinary. But when it comes to the Contra Anniversary collection, now when I'm looking at the box art is beautiful beyond compare. I'm liking the whole packaging, the whole steel edge of it all. It looks like something out of the Aliens movie. So by looking at that, that's definitely gonna catch my attention when it comes to the Gweilo test. And as for the second question, are the items cool enough? So looking at the Cowabunga collection, I'm liking the cloth poster. I'm liking the acrylic figurines here. Like them a lot. And I'm also liking this cool collector's strategy guide. Pretty much it gives you like that old school strategy guide when you first buy a game. So it's a nice little homage to that. As for the Contra Anniversary Collector's Edition, there's a lot of things in this edition that sticks out to me personally. Number one definitely has to be the steelbook case. Number two definitely is the soundtrack. And number three, the keychains is a nice touch to it. Number four, also the retro style dust cover sleeve is also a nice touch to it. And number five would definitely have to be the hardcover book. It's a it's a nice conversation piece. I love it. And question number three, is it displayable? As for the Cowabunga collection, there's only one item that where I would really consider being displayable, and that would have to be the acrylic stand-in of the four turtles on top of the roof. I think that's pretty awesome. So that piece alone will look good on the shelf. But as for the Contra Anniversary collection, even though it comes with a lot of amazing things, even if I just take the big box and put it on the shelf, to me that stands out more than the Cowabunga collection, just because it demands a presence. And as a collector, that's one of the things you definitely look for. And question number 4, what's the defining factor? Well, the defining factor for the Turtles Cowabunga collection, for me, it's only going to be the acrylic standing. Like I said, that's the only thing that I would definitely look into if I was to purchase this collector's edition. But when it comes to the Contra Anniversary Collector's Edition, looking how all this was basically made well, I would consider everything. There's not one thing that I would not even consider that it should be going on my shelf. I mean, the whole thing is a complete package. And the last question and the most important question of all has to be pricing. Looking back at the Cowabunga collection, with everything that it comes with, for $149.99, I think that it's a little bit too pricey. So, if my opinion, if they was to scale it back, I would say $50. I think it would be a much better price range if it was to be $100. And as for the Contra Anniversary Collector's Edition, for $174.99, I feel that it's a fair price for it, just because you're getting all this amazing stuff that comes with it. So I myself, in my opinion, I have no problems spending that kind of money on this collector's edition. So rating both these collector's edition, my final analysis of it all, looking at the Cowabunga collector's edition, if I had to rate it between a scale of 1 through 5, I would give it a 3, which to me a 3 is average. It's not a bad collector's edition, but I do believe that they kind of missed the mark when it comes to pricing. I believe that they could at least, in my opinion, put in a soundtrack, or maybe just do something very, very special, like maybe a customized USB port of a Foot Clan logo. I think maybe that would have enticed me to be getting this collector's edition. But after giving it the Gweilo test, I would have to give it a pass just because of what I said. But I will be getting the base game. And as for the Contra Anniversary Collector's Edition, if I have to give it a scale between 1 to 5, I will have to give this a 5, just because to me it's a complete package. Presentation is awesome. All the things that it comes with is definitely an eye catcher. So that's something for me as a collector would definitely keep an eye out for. So I don't mind getting this at $174.99. I just made my pre-order. So when this definitely comes in, I will be doing my own personal unboxing, and let's see if it lives up to the hype. All right, this concludes today's episode of Broheim Unboxed. I'm your host, the Retro King Gweilo. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell.